Hello, my name is John Bannon. I'm an attorney and philosopher. In today's video, I'm going to explain why superdeterminism destroys John Stuart Mill. So this video will explain what they failed to teach you in college philosophy class about the philosophy of John Stuart Mill. Now, when I talk about superdeterminism, I'm referring to a very specific, unique version of superdeterminism proven by Swedish theoretical physicist Dr. Johan Hansen in 2020. You can find his proof published in the peer-reviewed physics journal Physics Essays, Volume 33, Number 2, June of 2020. It's on page 216 to 218. It's entitled Bell's Theorem and Its Tests, Proof that Nature is Superdeterministic, Not Random. So Dr. Hansen's version of superdeterminism says that we live in a static block universe without cause and effect in physics or physical causation or probabilistic causation. Essentially, we live in a fourth dimensional block universe with 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time, and cause and effect in physics is not real. Rather, nothing actually moves in our block universe. It's a static exhibition or organization of particles through a hidden static dimension of time. I put 5 points up on the board concerning the philosophy of John Stuart Mill, and I will explain how superdeterminism disproves each and every one of those points. So, number 5, John Stuart Mill was a skeptic of the existence of God. Now, the reasons John Stuart Mill gave for being skeptical of the existence of God were basically that he believed that if God were a first cause, and you argue that a first cause is necessary, and that everything, every effect has its cause, then a first cause like God would also need a cause. So it seems like special pleading to exempt God from the necessary causal chain, which you're using to reach a first cause or God himself. So if everything needs a cause, then God needs a cause. John Stuart Mill also raises the problem of evil, which is if God is all powerful, omnipotent, then why is there evil in the world? You would think an omnipotent, omnibenevolent God would not allow evil to exist. Now, superdeterminism says that cause and effect in physics is not real. So there is no such thing as a causal chain. So the argument that if everything has a cause, then God must have a cause falls apart because physical causation itself is not real. The problem with evil can be dealt with through a theodicy of evolution, essentially by saying that the creation of life from our laws of physics using evolution ends up with evil behavior among life. And that seems to be inseparable. So, because life requires evolution in order to be created under our laws of physics, and that leads to evil, then God cannot help but to allow the evil in order that life exist. So, uh, the fact that evil exists doesn't mean that God is not omnipotent. It means that evil is unavoidable and there is no power to create life without evil. So that's not a knock on God's omnipotence, because a power that is illusory is not an actual power, and the lack of having such a power cannot be a knock on your omnipotence. Number four, a secular religion devoted to improving the human race would be better. However, under superdeterminism, our block universe is predetermined. It is unchangeable because there's no cause and effect in physics. And the past, present, and future are all equally real, and they presently exist and cannot be changed, and they're permanent. So, religion is an aspect of the block universe. The thoughts of people on religion, everything that's ever created concerning religion, like books, these are all permanent aspects of the static block universe, and they can't be changed. So, the fact that Christianity is the predominant world religion tells you that God predetermined our static block universe in order that Christianity be the predominant world religion. Because of that, you can reasonably infer that God intended Christianity to be his message of truth for humanity. Because why else would he make it predominant? Consequently, because God himself has put the stamp of approval on Christianity, then God is saying, no, a secular religion would not be better because I did not predetermine a secular religion to be predominant. So, John Stuart Mill can take that up with God, but he's clearly wrong. Number three, the individual is sovereign over mind and body. So John Stuart Mill thought that you have ultimate control over yourself. You control your mind, you control what your body does through your mind. So you are sovereign over yourself. Nobody can tell you what to do or make you do something, even God. However, under superdeterminism, that is clearly not true at all. Uh, our consciousness is a physical reality of the static block universe. And the static block universe is predetermined, which means our conscious thoughts are also predetermined aspects of our static block universe that cannot be changed, that are set in concrete like pebbles, and you don't have sovereignty over yourself in the universe. So, in a static block universe without cause and effect in physics, all events are predetermined. For example, if you decided to move your arm, you consciously decided to move your arm. Your arm is clearly a physical object in the static block universe. Therefore, it would have to be predetermined. So its movement would have to be predetermined in the static dimension of time. But if your arm movement is predetermined, then your conscious decision to move your arm must also be predetermined. in order for your arm movement to be predetermined, which means your consciousness must be a predetermined aspect of the static block universe. It is not an immaterial entity. So the physical thing in your consciousness is brain particles. So it must be the brain particles that are predetermined and that are the aspect of physical reality that gives rise to consciousness and the predetermined aspect of consciousness that is necessary in order for an arm movement to be predetermined. So, under superdeterminism, your mind and your consciousness are a physical reality. They are predetermined. Your thoughts are predetermined. You cannot change them. They appear as they are in the static block. They're permanent. They're impossible to change without cause and effect in physics. So you don't have sovereignty over your own thoughts. They're predetermined. And you don't have sovereignty over your body movements that are caused by your thoughts because you don't have control over your thoughts. There's no free will without cause and effect in physics. There's no way you could decide something that would have an impact or change a predetermined future because the future is predetermined and it cannot be changed, which means you can't possibly have the free will to do otherwise than what the static block universe already exhibits you as doing. All right, number two, permanent possibility of sensation. So John Stuart Mill said that matter is merely our expectation of certain sensations occurring under specific conditions. However, under superdeterminism, possibility is not real because every event in the static block universe is predetermined. It's set in concrete. You can't change it without cause and effect in physics. And the past, present, and future are all equally real, and they are all equally set and fixed, which means there is no room for possibility or the notion that events could have been otherwise. So there's no possibility in the static block universe. Well, if there's no possibility, then there can't be a permanent possibility of sensation. Uh, Again, consciousness is a physical reality in our static block universe, and it is founded on the existence of the block universe. Consciousness is not a more foundational reality than the block universe upon which it is based. All right, number one, the greatest happiness principle. John Stuart Mill devised the greatest happiness principle, which says that actions are right in proportion as they tend to promote happiness. However, under superdeterminism, happiness cannot be a universal meaning of life. Under superdeterminism, we each have a block life because every event from our birth to death still exists in the block and is permanent, we have a permanent block life, which consists of our existence from birth to death through the static dimension of time, forming essentially an information packet of particle positions through the static dimension of time in a particular location and place within the static block universe. So, because we have a block life, then to ascribe a universal meaning of life, it must be something that exists in every block life, because otherwise it makes no sense at all to tell somebody who has a block life that the meaning of that block life is a potential which never actually occurs in their block life. Well, that can't possibly be their meaning in life. So, in order to have a universal meaning, it must be something that exists in all block lives. And the only thing that exists in all block lives is the block life itself. So, the universal meaning of life is the predetermined role a block life plays in God's predetermined plan for the predetermined static block universe. Consequently, the universal meaning of life cannot be any potential, because potentials may not be in every block life. Now, happiness is a potential, which means it cannot be the universal meaning of life, which means it is not the ground principle of ethics under the greatest happiness principle. That has to be wrong. For instance, there are some people whose block lives do not include happiness. You can think of a baby born without a temporal lobe that allows for the conscious experience of happiness. That baby has a block life, but never experiences happiness. So it's meaningless to say to that baby that the meaning of life is happiness when the baby's block life never includes happiness. You can say similar things to people in vegetative states. They have block lives too. So, superdeterminism clearly proves that the greatest happiness principle is wrong. I hope you learned something, and I'll give you a second to read the board. All right, until next time, take care.